to Brian Knows Movies. I want to talk about Emancipation. No, not the Emancipation Proclamation, but the new historical epic from Will Smith and director Antoine Fuqua. Before I get started though with my review, I do want to say that I'm going to be objective with my review. I've heard a lot of things about this movie before it even came out, and a lot of cynicism specifically because of Will Smith's actions at last year's Oscars, slapping Chris Rock. There's people who just are not ready to forgive this man for what he did and ruining decorum and having that violence at their award show. I think he's been punished enough in terms of career as well as through the Academy. There's people who have done much worse in Hollywood that are still working without these types of issues affecting the way that their films are being critiqued. And I think that that's unfair. I'm not going to do that in my review. So I just wanted to put that out there that if you're looking for a Will Smith bash fest because of the Oscars, you've come to the wrong place. But you've come to the right place if you want to hear about Emancipation. I just saw it this morning. This is the story of Peter, a Haitian slave who is a devout Christian, a family man, and wants to keep his family together despite being in the trudges of slavery. He gets sold during the Civil War to, it looks like he got sold to the Confederate Army to help to build a railroad that would help them to get munitions across Louisiana. He's separated from his family. He's trying to be strong for them, trying to keep them strong, and says, stay together. I'm going to be coming back for you. We're going to be together again. So he gets to the railroad and he overhears some slave drivers talking about the Emancipation Proclamation. That's right, Abraham Lincoln had just issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves. So he knows that he's free, and he also knows that there's Union forces in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So he decides that he's going to make a run for it. He tells a couple other slaves about this, and they find an opening and they go for it. They go through the swamps trying to get to freedom. And they're being chased by Ben Foster, who is a slave catcher, and a couple of his men who are hot on their trails. Ben Foster is as evil a person can be in terms of believing in slavery and that blacks are less than. And so you have this racist man who's very good at his job chasing Peter and his other compatriots trying to get to freedom. That's the story. We have a cat and mouse type of story between Ben Foster, slave catcher. I don't know if they even gave him a name. If they did, they only said it once. But the slave catcher and Peter trying to get to freedom. Now, I will say in terms of the performances, I like most of them. I think that Will Smith, he's a serious actor. He's a dramatic actor. He knows what he's doing. He has issues with accents, and he's been criticized for that. I think the most famous criticism is his accent that he did on Concussion, where he was, I think he was trying to do a Nigerian accent and just wasn't working. It was falling in and out. He kept his Creole Haitian accent fairly well in this film. Also, I think that he was very dramatic in terms of his being able to make you believe that he is such a devout Christian and he believes that God is on his side, even though you side with others who question that belief given all the crazy things that are going on in terms of them being enslaved and the torture that they have to go through, but he continues to keep his faith. I think that he's also very physical. Will Smith has always been a very physical actor, and it's great to see that he still wants to do these things even as he gets older. You believe that he's out here struggling and running with bullet wounds and war scenes and all that type of stuff. I think that he does a really good job. Ben Foster plays a really good bad guy. In this movie, he plays a really good racist. He does it like a Western, like an outlaw in a Western movie is what his performance reminds me of. And he's done that before in movies like 3:10 to Yuma and a couple of others. I love Ben Foster. Medieval came out this year. I didn't give Medieval a good review, but I think he was great in Medieval. I think that I like that stoicism, that stoic, quiet, reserved acting with the eyes more than anything else that he's able to deliver. And he is so menacing, and he has a speech here that actually I think is almost comically evil in terms of a speech he gives about what he believes about slaves and them taking over. And I think there's some commentary that they put to that speech about what some people believe today, unfortunately. But I thought Ben Foster was great. Charmaine Bingwa, and I apologize if I mispronounced that name. She did a good job as Dodie Ann, who's Peter's wife and the mother of Peter's children, and trying to keep that family together on the plantation. The few callbacks to that setting and her trying to stay strong and do things that she has to do to keep her family together. I thought that those were interesting, and it was really well acted from her. I don't know what it is about this. I don't know if it's a trend, but it's the second feature movie from Apple TV where they have this desaturated black and white look to their film. They did The Tragedy of Macbeth starring Denzel Washington the same way. At times, it's very cinematic. It really helps you to focus on the emotion and the intent of the actors in the scenes. It helps to take away a lot of the noise around you. I think that we also lose something with it too. There's a battle scene that happens happens that I think would have popped a little bit more if we had some color on the screen as opposed to it being grayscaled out or desaturated the way that it was. I feel like it wasn't as powerful for me. Also, the landscapes of the swamp and things like that, I think it would have been better if it wasn't completely desaturated. That's personal preference. I'm sure that some people love that style. Besides that, wide sweeping shots, great landscape shots, a lot of things that really added to the frame of the movie. It really added to the setting of the movie. I think that the costume designs were amazing, especially the Civil War reenactment. The black Union soldiers, infantrymen's suits were really cool. I think that you believed Will Smith's character was a slave. I hate to put it that way, but they did a really good job with his makeup and his costume and things of that nature. Antoine Fuqua does action, and I think action is the best part of this film. A lot of the action set pieces, whether it's the chases that are happening while the slave catchers are pushing their dogs out on the slaves or any of those types of things, I think the action was really great. In terms of writing and directing, this was directed by Antoine Fuqua. He's done some of the best action movies of this current century. I think of the crime drama and action movie that got Denzel his second Oscar in Training Day. He's also worked with Denzel on the Equalizer franchise, and he did The Magnificent Seven as well. Denzel's been a common collaborator with his. He did Olympus Has Fallen, which was surprising, gritty fun to me. I like Brooklyn's Finest. He's done a lot of different films that are really more in that action slash crime drama category that really works. The screenwriter is Bill Collage. He did the screenplay for Assassin's Creed. He did the screenplay for Allegiant, which is part of that Divergent series. He also did the movie Tower High starring Eddie Murphy and Ben Stiller. I'll be candid, none of those are really my favorites. He hasn't really done anything that really stuck out to me. Antoine Fuqua and Bill Collage both seem to be a little bit out of their element here. They're doing something that they're not normally doing in terms of this historical epic. Bill Collage probably wrote this movie because he wanted to tell the story of what Peter and really to pay homage to that character. I'm sure Antoine Fuqua and everybody else have the best of intentions of doing this and doing justice to a man who sacrificed so much for his family and went through so much as so many other slaves did. And saying that, I still don't understand why this movie was made the way that it was. Sometimes it can seem cartoonish how the writing feels. It's just a little bit too on the nose. There's not a lot of subtlety with it. They don't give any of the slave drivers or the slave owners any type of subtlety. They're just all pure evil, mustache twirling type of folks. And I actually think that's the right call. I don't think you should ever humanize slave owners. So that's not the problem I have with it. It's everything else around it just seems a little bit oversimplified for me. Also, I don't know who this movie's for. I came into this movie not wanting to see black trauma, specifically black trauma dealing with slavery. Again, I didn't want to see that. I think that story's been told so many times and been told well so many times that we didn't need another example of that. Okay, so you're giving me a slave drama, even though I don't think black people are really interested in a movie like this anymore or want a movie like this made anymore, but maybe you're going to give me something new to the slave drama. And I think that they tried, and it just wasn't as successful as I would like it to be. You did get a action set piece with a big war where you had black soldiers who were fighting for their freedom. And I immediately think, well, but Glory did this better. So that's not anything new to me that I needed to see. Kudos, I guess, for trying to tell Whoop Peter's story, but also maybe this is just too late for this type of movie. Maybe we've moved past this type of movie being made. Maybe this is just 10 years, 15 years too late in terms of trying to tell this type of narrative. Anyway, what's my rating? See it, stream it, or skip it? I guess you get from what I'm saying right now, skip it. I think that I don't know who to recommend this movie to. Again, Will Smith is great. Ben Foster is great. It looks really good. But who is the audience for this? I can't recommend this to black people because I think black people see trauma enough. I know that I do. And I know that I've had conversations with people like, why do we have to keep on having these types of movies made? We're sick of these types of movies. Is there something else that we can tell about our story that's more empowering? So I don't think it's for black people. I think that if I am going to recommend it to somebody who wants to know about the horror of slavery, I'm going to recommend better movies that did it better. I think that's 12 Years a Slave is just immensely better than this film. I'm going to say go watch that over this. I'm going to say if you're looking for the action, go see Django Unchained. If you're looking for the political type of things, go see Amistad. I mean, there's so many other movies. My point is that this has been done and beaten into the ground at this point. I don't know how else to say it. I'm trying to be candid. Remember in the beginning, I said I'm being objective here. This has nothing to do with Will Smith because I loved him in the movie. Antoine Fuqua, one of my favorite directors working today. So I'm not trying to disparage people on their craft because these things are really hard to do. And that's why I feel bad saying what I'm saying because these films are hard to do. I know emotionally on set it was probably hard for them to do. And you hate to create art that that it's not received well, but I just don't think that is the climate for this type of art at this time. But anyway, hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy that loves movies. So Emancipation is on Apple TV Plus right now. You can watch it if you have a subscription. If you're planning to see it, that's fine. Let me know what you think about it. Do you want to see this type of film? Do you have a stomach or appetite for this type of historical epic? Thank you so much for joining me. Continue to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We just hit 250 followers. Thank you so much. I know that seems like a small number to most people. That's huge for me. I just did this because I love movies and I wanted to talk about movies with the community, and that community is being built. And please be a part of that by continuing to share the videos as well as subscribing if you haven't subscribed yet. I want to continue to do this in perpetuity, so the more support I have, the more content I can put out there for you. So thank you again so much. I will see you at the theaters next week.